Hello everybody and welcome to another video. This is a spooky one because it's already October and my favorite season is the Halloween season. Even though we don't really celebrate Halloween in Mexico as much as they do in other countries, I've always enjoyed it. It was always my favorite time of the year. You see all the Halloween specials on TV, spooky versions of my favorite cartoons, horror movies. Uh, I've always loved horror, even though I was a scaredy cat when I was a kid. I scared really easily, but I still loved it. I still loved horror movies, horror TV, radio, books, anything. Even if I couldn't sleep later at night because I was so afraid. This thing I'm drawing here right now, it's my feline version of Count Orlok from Nosferatu. Now, I know nowadays it's a bit of a cliche, but people don't know how close we were to losing this movie forever. It's an adaptation of Dracula, of Bram Stoker's novel, but they didn't get the rights. So what they did was they made the movie and they changed the names of the characters, try to get away with it. And of course they didn't succeed because it's basically the same story, just the ending is different. But they were sued and they were ordered to destroy all the copies. Back in those days you had the physical copies of the movies, so you could do that. You could have them all destroyed. And we are so lucky that this movie didn't get destroyed because it's a great movie. It's very scary even for today's standards, and it's one of the gems of silent film. For the design of my vampire here, it was obvious that I had to go for a Sphinx cat. Because they're bald and they do look a bit creepier than normal cats. Now, Count Orlok in the movie is a plague bringer, and you can see his design, the makeup, he kind of looks like a rat. We hadn't had this suave, sexy vampire that we got later with Bela Lugosi in the 1930s. He was very much a monster, and you can see the rat element in the fangs, the way he has the fangs to the front rather than where the canines would be on a human. And that's what he does in the movie. Wherever he goes, he spreads the plague and people die. So not only did I use a Sphinx cat here, but I try to communicate that with the color. I use this greenish tint. Of course, Sphinx cats are pink. Well, some of them are darker tones, but most of the ones you find on the internet are very pink. But I wanted to go for this greenish yellow. It looks very sickly, and I accentuated some of it in purple, especially the bags under the eyes, any detail that I would normally have used red for, or maybe a darker pink. I went for purple, and again, it's not like straight on purple. It's this mucky purple that I wanted to use so it would look sickly. He's a monster. Here I am just building up the colors as usual. I don't want to be too repetitive with these videos, but that's what you do with watercolors. You have to build them up layer by layer so you can get the effect that you want. You can get the intensity that you want. And I'm just mixing these colors, the yellowish and the purple, again, I just want to communicate this idea that he's sickness. He's not sick, but he is sickness. He spreads the plague everywhere he goes. If you've ever watched the movie, you'll remember the boat where he travels is full of rats, and a big part of the story is that he brings the plague into the town where he moves, which is one of the bigger differences between this movie and Dracula. In Dracula, he basically starts taking victims, but here most of the victims are due to the plague. Werner Herzog did a great remake of it with Klaus Kinski playing Count Orlok. But I still feel that nobody did it like Max Schreck, and a lot of it is in the eyes, which is why in my picture the eyes were so important to get right. The makeup on Max Schreck is terrifying, but a lot of why it's so creepy comes down to the way he stares. His eyes are just so creepy, and because it's silent film, you don't have dialogue, so a lot of it had to be expressed with the eyes. So I think there's some really great examples of eye acting in silent film, such as Nosferatu, in The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, that very famous scene where the somnambulist wakes up, The Man Who Laughs, with the same actor that played Cesare the Somnambulist. And Max Schreck's eyes are just perfect for this. Even a lot of people even thought that he wasn't real because, well, he looks so creepy, and his name, Max Schreck. Schreck is the German word for terror. And you can see a homage to this actor in Batman Returns, Christopher Walken's character in Batman Returns. His name is Max Schreck. And there were a lot of rumors circulating about him. They said that maybe it was Murnau, the director himself, in makeup. Some of the sillier ones were that he got an actual vampire to play the role, which inspired a great movie with Willem Dafoe, Shadow of the Vampire. If you haven't seen it, it's a great movie. Even if it's just for the recreation of the way they filmed Nosferatu. But on its own, it's a pretty interesting concept where Murnau gets a real vampire to play Count Orlok. Maybe you noticed that I erased my signature. I realized that I didn't leave enough space for the signature there, and I wasn't happy with the way it looked, so I pretty much erased it and moved it to the side. Here I'm adding some shadows, which only add to the drama of the scene. A character like this needs very dramatic lighting. So there's that very famous scene now where his shadow is walking up the stairs. And I love the way Francis Ford Coppola incorporated that into his version of Dracula, where the shadow moves independently. And yeah, we owe that to Nosferatu. Here I tried to sign it there, but because it's black on dark, it didn't really look great. And I don't have I need to get myself a white pen or a silver pen. So I tried silver color. It looks alright, but I ended up just signing it digitally. And you'll see that in the finished picture. But here's my favorite part, and I didn't speed this up because it's just, I love doing this, which is when you remove the tape. It's so satisfying to me. Yeah, there's a little bit that bled there, but it's not really that important. But yeah, this is my favorite part because it also means that I'm finished. So I can actually remove it from the board and I'm able to contemplate it as a finished picture. This is not another problem. Sometimes it doesn't fit in the frame as well as I would like. But yeah, here we go. So thank you so much for joining me on this video. If you wanna find the finished picture, you can support me on Patreon. It would mean a lot to me. I'll be doing some more spooky pictures for the rest of October, so wait for those. I won't make a video out of all of them, but you will see some of them. And of course, I had to make it black and white. Thank you so much. See you around.